Imagine, if you will, that this cork represents a task, an assignment, a responsibility that you have. And we're going to imagine that our job right now is to make sure that this cork doesn't fall. I've got two ways I can do this. Number one, I can take my fist and close it tightly and not let it drop. So if you would with me, just make a fist, pretend like you got something in your hand and hold it out here. Squeeze as tight as you can. What's our responsibility again? Don't let it drop. Okay, now, this would be great if this is all we have to do, but how long can you hold this tension for? Yeah, until you get exhausted. But let's imagine that you've got something going wrong at home. Or you've got a key employee that's left the organization. A deadline has changed, or budget has shifted. You have to step away for a week to handle an emergency. What happens? We drop it. Okay. Many of us think that if we just muscle through this, I can keep control of the situation. I'm going to offer a different alternative. I want you to try this. Turn your hand over, and then open your hand. Okay, how long can I hold this cork now? Yeah, almost indefinitely. I want to introduce you to just a new way of seeing things so that we can do effortless effort. I'm going to talk about emotions. We're going to talk about how to control them and how to help others, especially the ones that you lead, to understand theirs so they can gain mastery over it. Is that fair? Okay. This will be interactive, so in a moment I'm going to need a couple volunteers. If you're just recovering from lunch, now is a good time to kind of shake that off because we got some stuff to do today. All right, does anybody know a hothead? Or maybe is one? Just raise your hand. Okay, very good. Many people are controlled by their emotions. When they're afraid, they keep their mouth shut. They don't want to speak up in meetings. Or they'll explode when they're angry. Or they'll lose their resolve when they doubt. My job is to help people figure out a way through that. Not to ignore emotions, but to move your way, because we're always going to have them. But the way I'm going to do it is a little bit different. We're going to explore a number of different things, but what I want you to understand that my intent is that you'll leave today with more courage, more confidence, and more control in your life. What I'm about to share with you is not only going to help you at work, it's going to help you in your personal life. And I don't say this lightly, but if we pay attention for about the next hour, this has the possibility of changing your life. JFK said the only reason to give a speech was to change the world. I have a firm belief that I'm not here to waste your time or our time together. But if you'll lock in with me for just the next little moment or two, we can make some good things happen. All right. What I'm about to share with you is free. It's backed by science. It's been tested in the world of combat, in high-stakes emergency responders, and with conflict resolution all over the world. It's worked with the hundreds of people that I work with every day as a dream manager at Zachary Construction, and with the executive teams that bring me in to help them out with their team dynamics. It's simple, and it's brilliant, and you'll never forget it. Can we pay attention for a little bit? Is that going to work for everybody? Okay. I'm trying to drag this out so you guys just get sucked in. I've got a hook in there, and I know you're going to listen because I'm going to share some things that may sound counterintuitive, and I'm going to talk about soft skills. And most people, when they hear soft skills, they go, that's too much. Okay? We like the hard stuff. We want to get stuff done. But it's my belief that the soft skills are, do I want to follow you skills? And if you can handle yourself, you can handle other people as well. To control yourself means to let go of everything that controls you. So we need to do some exploration. This is going to work the very first time you use it. It's called reach, And I titled this, You Deserve to Lead from Strength. Going from this simple analogy, from I've got some strength here, to I can also have strength here and be open to everybody else. All right, we want to have choices. And we're going to work on 3 things today. Number 1, I'm going to show you how to manage your emotions. I'm going to give you the words, what to say, and I give you a framework for how to move from your most primitive instincts to your most extraordinary potential. But I've got to do some examples first. Number 1, the leadership problem. Rapid decisions. Every day we have to make multiple decisions. Thankfully, this is a great conference because a lot of researchers here, you get to take your time. But those you present your research to, they need to do what? Hopefully they have to take action. But how many actions a day do they need to take? Lots. And it becomes overwhelming. Just think about driving quickly to work. You're in traffic. You show up, you have a meeting, and another meeting, another meeting. Then you drive home in traffic, and you get home, and who gets you at home? Your loved ones, and they get the stressed version of you because we've been making decisions all day long. And then somebody says, in my home, Dad, what's for dinner? And about that time, I'm about ready to strangle somebody. But thankfully, I've practiced some stuff, and we can handle this better. Constant performance. There's an example that I love. It's been attributed to a number of different golfers. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but we're going to pretend like it is. And we'll make, I don't even golf, but Arnold Palmer, is that the right name? Okay. One time I made up the wrong name and everybody yelled at me. We're okay. But let's imagine 18th hole, the ball lands in the bunker. And we're down 1 stroke. And Mr. Palmer sets himself up, takes a swing, ball comes out of the bunker, hits the green and rolls right into the cup. Everybody goes crazy. Afterwards, a reporter comes up and says, Mr. Palmer, wasn't that a lucky shot? To which he replied, isn't it interesting? The more I practice, the luckier I get. Every athlete we know, they spend more time training than they do in the actual event that they do. But at work, you are performing all the time. When do you get time to practice? Hopefully you get a little bit. That's my job. I lead learning and development for Zachary, so I get to take people out and do some practice with them. I'm going to introduce some of these practices to you today, because what I don't want to have happen is emotional disconnection. When you are busy, when you are performing all the time, other things pop up in your life, and then you have to shove them down in order to get stuff done. But if we do that for too long and too often, we start to disconnect from those things, and we can't read ourselves or the people that we're leading. I'm going to introduce you to 5 things real quick. So you open up your hand, we'll memorize these together. They're the 5 Fs. You probably know most of them. When we have some kind of situation happen, we either respond with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flock. You probably heard of fight and flight. Something happens to you and you immediately either, that's the hothead, they explode, or they run away and leave the meeting somehow. You know what freeze looks like. I come right at you and then I put you on the spot and all of a sudden your brain goes boop and we freeze up. We have another one which is called fawn. And fawning is sort of like a baby deer. The other way to look at this is people pleasing. If you've ever been in a situation where the boss is coming down hard and everybody starts to, that's the greatest idea. Yeah. Man, I'm so glad I get to be here with you today because you just have, everything's right. Okay? And it's a natural response. Why is it a natural response? Because we don't feel safe. Working in this world of emotions and HR, I get to hear lots of different phrases. I'm currently helping out a small group at work because the supervisor likes to use this phrase. We could get this done if he weren't such an effing idiot. He believes he's an amazing manager because he gets stuff done. And everybody says yes all the time. Why? They're terrified. And that's what fawning looks like. And then flock is it's insidious. Let's say that you and I have met in the elevator and you didn't like our interaction. And now you go tell other people, I met Eli and he was cold and distant. He's kind of a jerk. And then he starts to tell other people, And next thing you know, there's a flock of people that don't like you, and you don't even know why. All right, those are the 5 instincts that are sort of percolating in the background all the time, and they're necessary. Evolutionary speaking, if there was a tiger that walked in this room right now, we all need to do what? Yeah, so we've got adrenocortical hormones that juice us up, and then we have adrenaline, and we get out of here. It saves our lives. But what the problem that happens is, though, if those get activated, and it's just normal situations, we can get stuck in one of these 5 Fs. All right, I'm going to add on to this. Dr. David Brock came up with a formula called, it's the SCARF model. And SCARF is an acronym. It stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. These 5 things, if they happen, they get triggered, they activate us to go into one of those 5 Fs. So for status, imagine that you are in charge of a meeting and somebody questions your competence in front of the room. And you can feel that your status is being challenged. That will set people into one of the 5 Fs. Certainty happens when you think things are going one way and then all of a sudden there's a diversion, something shifts. At the university that I used to teach at, we had a leadership group, and one of the problems I always get from the outside companies is, you guys are producing really smart students, but they can't do anything. And so I had this assignment for the honors college for their leadership class, and they had to come up with their own leadership experiment. And halfway through the semester, midterms are coming, we invited the students in, there's only 12 of them, just check in on their progress, and not a single one had done anything. And so I sat through 12 sessions of students crying, and I felt bad for half a second. I realized they were all stuck in freeze because they're always certain. Their whole lives have been programmed to get A's, and they follow directions really well. But when given an ambiguous assignment, they shut down. And so knowing that, hey, I'm noticing that they're not going anywhere, they're literally stuck, I need to change the way that I give directions to help them out. Because, again, they're students that need some training to be able to move through this. All right, autonomy. Imagine that you don't have control over your own schedule. Things get tricky. I recently went on a trip to Paraguay, and because of my amazing beard and mustache, I keep a little pair of scissors with me to keep it trimmed up. I travel everywhere with these. No, never a problem. But in Panama, when I was coming home, I got stopped and pulled into a tiny room because of my very small scissors. And I could feel myself starting to get agitated because I didn't know when I would get to leave or when somebody was going to come talk to me. And I remember starting to feel the anger start to well up. Like, man, this is an uncomfortable situation because my autonomy was being threatened. All right, relatedness. This is your understanding of where you sit in a group. If you're in an in-group or an out-group. If you feel like you're being pushed aside, that will trigger those emotions in one of the 5 Fs. And finally, my favorite, fairness. Anytime something happens, if you get cut off on the road, immediately we turn into road rage or some other form of that. All right, just checking for understanding. Are we following along? Okay, so now we know we've got 5 Fs and we have the SCARF model. These things trigger us and put us into a primitive state. We get stuck there, and it's really hard to move forward when you're stuck in one of these 5 Fs. So how do we get out? I love the theme that we're talking about today, building harmony. I'm going to give some context around this, but in my former life, and occasionally every once in a while, I've been practicing martial arts for 3 decades now and teaching for about the same. And what I do is I help members of SWAT teams and the military and first responders and people that work in hospitals to calm themselves down before they walk into a really dangerous situation. Because if you can imagine, those are some high-stakes situations. And if you don't have control of your emotions, we have some poor outcomes. I'm going to show you, through a martial art called Aikido, a couple of different exercises that we can use to help us maintain and control our emotions. I'm going to translate really quick. Aikido, I stands for harmony. Again, good relation to the theme. They didn't ask, but that's what showed up. Qi is, you've probably heard it in the Chinese version is qi. It's spirit or energy. And do, meaning way or path. So a really loose translation of this is the way, the path of harmonious spirit. Or more simply, the art of harmony. This shows up in a way that's so simple, and yet this is what's going to help you understand and take this with you wherever you go. I do need a brave soul that will come up here. We are not going to be doing any high kicks or demonstrations, but I need somebody to come up here and help me demonstrate a couple of things that we can do and physically embody this. Can I get a volunteer? There we go. The biggest, toughest guy in the room shows up every time. Man. It's never the 98-pound weakling. Yeah. All of a sudden, my fear response is kicking in.
Oh, mine is.
Whew. Yeah, you took my scissors. Thank you very much. Trevor, nice to meet you. Let's give Trevor a round of applause. Okay, so really quick, this first concept is just called centering. Okay? So all we want to do is find literally your center of balance. And let's step over here so everybody can see us. This is not going to be hard. I'm going to push on you. Just stand still. Don't let me move you.
I'll try.
And I'm going to use all of my amazing musculature on this side of my body. Ready? I'm going to push and see if I can move him. Okay, what happened? Hold on. Use my muscles. He's not going anywhere. Okay. If I center myself, and instead of pushing from my muscles, I'm going to use less effort and kind of push from my core. It's almost invisible. First one, I'm moving. Second one, hold still. I push from here, and he moves. Okay, that's not going to make any sense. Physics doesn't understand it. But if I get myself in a place of balance, I move from a much different place. Okay? In a moment, I know people hate this, but we're going to stand up and do it together in a moment. Okay? All right, that was step number one.
You got me sweating.
Okay.
I'm worried about the next step.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay. All right. What we're going to do right now is we're going to make it easy. We're going to pick 3 spots on your body that you're carrying tension.
Okay.
So let's pick from your head to your shoulders, shoulders to hips,
Okay.
and hips to feet.
Okay.
And this is a very simple exercise. It's called 3 deep breaths. If you can figure it out, what are we going to do? Okay, 3 deep breaths. So as Trevor inhales, he's going to find that spot that he's holding tension. Maybe it's his neck or his cheek. And on the exhale, we're going to release that tension. Okay, on the second breath, same thing. Find that spot, exhale. Maybe it's your stomach or your chest. And last one, it's usually my calves. My calves are always tight, but I'm going to find that spot and release that tension on the exhale. All right, here's the fun part. Everybody, stand up and we'll do it together. Okay, so no pressure on Trevor. This is okay.
I'm feeling it.
He's feeling it. Okay, breathe in. On the exhale, release somewhere you're holding tension. Second breath in. Find that spot, release the tension. Last breath in. And release the tension. Okay, how do you feel?
Sweaty, but not too tense.
Sweaty but not tense. Okay, good. The tension's gone. What happens with tension? Go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much. What happens when we have tension? You're wasting energy. Yes, very good. Okay, we're wasting lots of energy when we get tensed up. This happens a lot. There's this clenching that happens when we're tense. I just went to California for a conference, and I was right by Santa Monica, so I'm going to go surfing. We went out there, and you watch people. The wave comes, a surge of energy comes, the board starts to move up, and they clench up, and they lose their balance and fall in the water. It's actually counterintuitive. When that wave comes, we're actually supposed to go with the flow. Hey, look at this. Trevor's an expert already. Okay, now we're going to ratchet up the tension a little bit and see how we can handle this. I call this the punch me in the face exercise.
That's the part I'm scared of.
But you're going to punch me, so it's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm still scared of it.
so let's do this. Let's square off like we're going to be in a fight. Okay? So if we square off, what does this look like, our relationship?
It could improve.
It could improve. Yeah, so polite. Yeah. This stance, this is adversarial. If we're in this position, how do I view Trevor? Who is he in relationship to me now? Aggressive, yeah. My favorite word in Spanish is enemigo, enemy. It literally means not my friend. You're not my amigo. Because we're in this position. Because we're here, there's not much else I can see, but it's like facing a wave. How much success am I going to have fighting a wave? Not much. Okay, now, if Trevor represents problems in my life, and I win this fight, what does winning look like?
Release of tension.
Yeah, but one of us is on the ground bleeding. It's not a good outcome. So if this adversary in your life happens to be a spouse or a child or a coworker, winning doesn't look great, does it? So we need to find a way that's better than this adversarial relationship. Most people think I have to fight because we're here. You're bringing a problem to me, and now I just see you as the problem. So let's switch it up a little bit. Number one, as I see this, he's coming in hot. Here's my favorite that everybody does. Sir, I need you to calm down.
Right.
How often does that work? Would you just calm down? Yeah, it never works. Okay? So what I want to do is I'm actually sinking into myself right now. I'm relaxed. And as he throws a very slow right cross, I am not going to be here when it lands. I don't have to be in front of it. I'm actually going to do what's called stepping off the line. This is the line of attack. So where should I not be? I should not be there. I'm literally just going to step off this line. Okay, see how fast I am? Whew. Super impressive. Okay? Now what I'm doing is, as that hand comes through, what's he looking at? Okay. If I step to the side, I can do one more movement and do this. Okay, what are we looking at now?
Beautiful view.
A beautiful view. This is your opinion. Okay? Beforehand, my opinion's over there. I want you to see my opinion. But here's my dad's an amazing man. He always said, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? Do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? I can fight you and make you see my point of view, but this is more elegant. I see the problem coming in, I step off the line of attack, I come next to you and I go, that's what you see. And when he hears me say what he sees, all of a sudden the tension in him, because I validated it. I don't have to agree with it, but at least he understands I see what you see. Is that fair? Okay. Now, there's a second release that happens. That first one, when we're here, instead of me getting real tight, I'm relaxing. I'm getting ready for this movement to come. I get myself out of the way, and when I'm here, it's like I'm a professional usher. I'm going to usher this in. I'm going to relax again. And now that we're looking over here, I can listen more deeply to what's going on. And once he's heard me explaining what I see, I now have an opportunity to influence. So real slow again, that hand comes through. I get myself off the line. Where's his energy going? It's going forward. Okay, now I can just gently start to come this way and say, and here's what I see. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this would be great if this happened every time in real life, and I would make tons of money. But this is not how real life works. But the framework is there. There's the 3 releases. Remember, number 1, this is the first release, calm down. Second release, I get off the line. I usher you to see. You're showing me. Can I see your perspective?
Before you try to show me.
Before I try to show you mine. And now I need to let go first of the outcome I want. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to go, I don't know what's going to happen when we work together. I'm going to blend with your energy, and maybe we come up with an entirely new solution. But if I'm still looking here and holding on to my desire over here, that this needs to happen my way, I'm never going to be able to influence. The influence comes because I know you're under stress, and I'm going to help you manage that, and we're both going to work together to find a new solution. Fair?
Boss moves.
Awesome. Okay, let's give Trevor a round of applause. Too much. Okay.
Just FYI, I just took on a keto master who trains the SWAT team.
And I'm still scared. All right, let's make this personal. So can everybody stand up? We're going to pick a partner. And we're going to make this nice and easy. I'm going to come down, and hopefully you can still hear me. But what I want you to do, okay, turn to a partner, and one of you just put your hand out like this. Okay? Your partner is going to push on your hand, and I want you to give some resistance. Don't let them knock you over. So before we do that, we're actually going to sink in. So let's get ourselves grounded and centered. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Put your hand out, and then have them push on your hand. And see if you can hold yourself still. Very good. Okay, and if you're not moving, that's good. Let's switch the other person. Have the other person give it a shot. Before you push, though, both of you take a deep breath, relax, sink in, and then push. We've got Jamie over here. Very good. Okay, can you guys see Jamie? Can I borrow you for a second? Okay. How are your shoulders? Okay. If you have a bad shoulder, please don't try this, but I'd like you to just look for a moment, okay? I'm going to put my hand right over Jamie's shoulder like this. He's going to interlace his fingers over my elbow and then pull down on my elbow. Okay. So put your hands over my elbow, both hands, and then just push down on my elbow. You're going to try to break my elbow there, okay? All right, if I try to hold on and squeeze real tight, I'm not going to be able to do it. So here's what I want you to try. So, geez, Jamie. Okay. I'm going to open up my hand. I'm going to sink my body down and open my hand. So I'm sinking open. And now if I do this, go easy. Okay, pull on my shoulder or my elbow. Go for it. Put some pressure on it. More pressure. More pressure. Okay, what do you feel?
Tense.
Okay, how's your shoulder feel right now?
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
It's kind of, yeah. Okay, because what's happening is when I open up my hand and I release that energy there, it's actually moving all the pressure into his shoulder. So instead of me taking all the energy and all the effort, I just give it back to him. Okay? But the only way I can do that is if I relax and I sink open. Okay? I like this gesture. It's like the professional usher. Okay? Keep that in mind. Very good. So give yourselves a round of applause and go ahead and sit down. Well done. Okay. Now you've got the basic gist. This is the physical part. Here's what happens, though. When Trevor's up here and someone's got a fist, we're going to imagine that this is a problem in life. What's the focus when someone's standing here in front of me, fists balled up? Where's my energy looking at? Yeah, I'm just here with Trevor. What happens if I get bombarded or attacked from a different side? All of a sudden, I'm in trouble because I'm only focused on one thing. Zachary Construction, we also have a company called Capital Aggregates, and at one of our quarries, not many Mondays ago, one of our operators, a loader operator, came in a little bit late on Monday morning. He had been partying a little bit too much on the weekend, so he was not at 100%. When he showed up late, there were 18 haul trucks waiting. Okay, so now he's a little bit inebriated or recovering. He's late. He's got 18 trucks backed up. And if anybody's been in a quarry, is it just nice and smooth all the time? Traffic flows well? Right? Good. This is the recipe for catastrophe. Okay? So we grabbed my friend Jesse off of his loader and brought him and sat down because he's got too many things coming in at the same time. There's no way he can handle this emotionally, let alone his job. When he left, it looked like he was mad at the ground, like he's stomping so hard, I'm going to make the earth pay for this. Okay? But we get stuck because it's never just the problem in front of us, it's always the other things around us. And so I have a bedtime story. It's one of the greatest hits. My kids love it. You probably hate it in high school. It's called Beowulf. Beowulf was a 6th century mercenary, essentially. Sort of like you all consultants. Anybody here a consultant? Great. Yeah, your job is to go around and fix people's problems. That's what Beowulf does. He's a warrior prince. And he shows up to this kingdom, and they've got a really big problem. At night at their tavern, this big green monster shows up and rips men and women limb from limb. That's a problem. Beowulf shows up and says, I'll take care of your problem. All right? And in the evening, everybody's had their fill. They fall asleep, and in comes this monster, and they have this titanic battle. Beowulf's so amazing. He's got this super strong grip. He rips Grendel's arm off from his body, mortally wounding him, and sends Grendel off to the swamp where he dies. The kingdom goes crazy. The king's so impressed, he gives him half the kingdom, gold, jewels, and a special sword named Hrunting. So, amazing experience. That was the problem right in front of them, which would be a really cool story. It's fun for little boys and little girls. But what happens next is fascinating. The next night, something else comes up from the swamp. If you've read the book, who comes? No one took English class. Good. Okay. Grendel's mother shows up from the swamp and just decimates the town. She's mad that they killed her baby boy. And the lesson here is really fascinating. It's never the problem that you're facing. It's always the mother of the problem. Okay? It's not the thing you fear, it's the mother of the thing you fear. And so too often we think, if I have a checklist, if I've got the right words to say, it's just going to work every time. When somebody comes and presents a problem to me, I'm like, I've been in management for a long time, I know the answer, and I go right at your problem. But I miss the fact that there's usually something a little bit deeper. All right, the story doesn't end there. Do you mind? We're going to do a little English class today. Just go off the cuff. The description of where Grendel and his mother live is fascinating and terrifying. It's good for ghost stories for kids. It goes like this. They called the huge one Grendel. If he had a father, no one knew him. Or if there were others before these two, hidden evil before hidden evil. They live in secret places, windy cliffs, wolf dens where water flows out over the rocks, where steam rises like black clouds, and the branches growing out over their lake are all covered in frozen spray and wind down, snake-like roots almost touching the water and help keep it dark. At night, that lake burns like a torch. No man knows its bottom. No wisdom reaches such depths. A deer hunted through the forest by packs of hounds, a stag with great horns, though pursued from faraway places, prefers to die on those shores. Refuses to enter that water and live. It isn't far from here, nor is it a pleasant spot. It isn't far from here, nor is it a pleasant spot. The book was written by a famous author who quotes everything, Anonymous. Have you heard of them? I'm really impressed by Anonymous's breadth of work. But super, super clear-minded. Writing this in like the 8th or 11th century, somewhere in there. It isn't far from here. Don't think this is just a story. It's not far from here. We are terrified of going down into that water. The unknown makes it weird. every time I go into a new conversation or a difficult situation, I'm always worried about the unknown. Every new task, we face that fear. And when Beowulf eventually, he's brave enough, he goes down into the water, he's got that sword hunting, and the sword is useless against the mother of Grendel. And I like that analogy because we're given tools all the time. But if I give you a tool, it doesn't mean it's going to be effective for you. I can tell you the exact words to say, and then when you go use it, it doesn't work. But we still have to go down. All right, take that story, hold it to the side for 1 second. I'm going to share a true story with you. How I've combined this story, the 5 F's, SCARF, and my martial arts training into something that's becoming more and more effective. This is a true story, but I am going to give a trigger warning because I'm not going to hold back on reality. But if you have issues with violence, I'm okay if you step out of the room. I'm going to keep the details brief so we don't do anything unprofessional. But it looks like this. On a spring morning not many years ago, I woke up on a Sunday morning and I was getting ready for church. And I heard from outside a noise that still haunts me. I heard my wife scream. And I thought one of my children had just been hit by a car. It was the worst sound I've ever heard in my life. And I ran to the front door and met my wife there, and she was seriously injured. She'd been attacked by a man with a knife. And all she said was, "Get him." And I looked down the street, and there's a man running away. And the rage inside me compelled me to move. I knew that if I didn't stop him, we would never know who did this, and he would probably strike again. And so after him, I went. My training kicked in. I remember telling myself to breathe and be calm. I didn't know if he was armed with more than just a knife, so I kept myself on the sides, keeping distance with cars in between. But it took me about 30 seconds to catch up to him, and by that time, I'm out of breath. When I catch up to him, he turns at me and he faces me and he's holding his knife. And without hesitation, I ran straight at him. I subdued him and I choked him unconscious. Now I'm in possession of the knife and I could feel the anger welling up inside me. By law, I was justified to take his life. But I know that because I had him subdued, I didn't have to. The art of Aikido taught me long ago that in harmony, I don't have to look at everybody as my enemy, that I can treat them with loving kindness. And that's an operating principle in my life. Also, I looked up in the distance and saw my family. I did not want them to see me become a monster in front of them. And so I let the police take over. And that would have been the end of the situation. Life changes a little bit right afterwards. My wife happened to be pregnant at the time with our 4th child, but we still had to keep going, so I went to work. I flew to Boston to go teach one of my classes, and I had this really strange experience. I've never had it before. I'm walking across the square, and in the distance, I see a statue of the founder of the university, and all of a sudden, I had fear like I've never experienced before in my life. I've left my family at home. My children are scared to go outside. My wife is hurting. And I could feel my vision narrowing until I focused solely on John Harvard's burnished shoe. And I'm sure the people that were around in the square were like, "What is going on with this guy?" Because I think I was pretty much hugging the statue. I was having a panic attack. And my emotions were all over the place. But I did what I do. I shoved my emotions down. I went and I taught class. I flew home on Friday. I also teach at UTSA at an honors college class on a Friday night. Showed up, and I was irritated with the class. So I woke up on Saturday and I said, I'm done. The dreams that I had for my academic life were gone. I couldn't fly back and forth to Boston anymore. I wasn't treating my students well, and so I shut down. Now trial begins. And I'm already a little bit weak, I can feel it. But we show up, And I remember the district attorney standing in front of the judge saying some things that I wasn't processing what was going on, because 10 seconds later, the judge sent the attacker home with an ankle monitor to await trial. It was 9 months. My wife's attacker lived in our neighborhood with just an ankle monitor. And so I stopped working, I stopped participating in life, we isolated ourselves from friends and family. Life got pretty dark. I figured, okay, this is enough. No more of this. 3 months after the initial attack, we're back in court doing check-ins, and there's a woman sitting next to me in the little victim aisle. And I was like, who are you? And we found out this was a counselor at the prison. And she was talking to the attacker as a normal situation, and she had lost presence in the moment. And she was distracted. In that moment, this gentleman jumped over the counter and attacked her. The only reason she's alive is because he was slamming her head against the wall so hard that somebody else came into the room and stopped it. And as soon as I heard that, I broke as a human being. My thought was, if I would have just killed him, he wouldn't hurt anybody else. This is my fault. And now I'm in a place that's so dark, I have no idea how to get out. The way back, not easy. But thankfully, something happened. During COVID, I had started work. I went back to work at Zachary Construction at an entry-level position. I went as a safety trainer. I speak Spanish. That was my only qualification at the time, so I was a bilingual safety trainer. Traveling to different cities, and COVID comes, and I get this strange phone call that because of paperwork, they had shifted my wife's attacker into a halfway house. And 6 months later, released him back into the public after only 3 years in prison. And so that F in SCARF, fairness, kicked in. This was so unfair. I had no control over my own life. I'd already lost everything. I'd been unemployed for a number of years, and so all my savings was gone. And now, my rationale was the only thing I have control of is my ability to fight. The plan was, I'm going to take this guy out and then take my own life. At least I would have control over something, and at least this guy would not be a shadow over my family anymore. At 3 o'clock that morning, as I was making plans, a thought entered into my mind. It was a question. Who could you be if you forgave him? Who could you be if you forgave him? And instantly, my life shifted. I saw a potential in myself that I hadn't seen in years. I'd been so angry and so exhausted all the time that those were my two emotions. And remember, I'm not unique. Most people you know, I'm going to say about 100% of them, have something going on in their lives. And it shows up in the way that they handle your business. Okay, so with that thought, the potential, who could I be if I forgave him? I realized that if I could do that, I could forgive myself. And that I could show up differently to work and help other people out. Almost immediately, I got a phone call from our vice president who gave me this really strange job title called the Dream Manager. And for the last 3 years, I've met with probably, I think it was 430 now, face-to-face with people once a month. And I ask them about their dreams. And I get all these amazing responses. But I also get the opportunity to teach people how to move through their own emotions. Okay, let's look at ways to make this practical as we finish up. Some practical tools. All right. The first guy that I met with, he was an equipment supervisor, and he had some big dreams in his life, but one of the things that was holding him back was he had an employee that he just did not get along with. In fact, they hadn't spoken in 3 years. The way they communicated was by text. And so I asked him, I said, Ricky, what's going on? And he says, this guy is lazy, he's unreliable, he doesn't show up, I can't trust him with anything. And I asked him if he wanted to make this relationship work. And he's, yes, I want to make this happen. Okay? But out loud, what are his emotions right now? How's he feeling about his other employee? He's frustrated. Yep. He sees him almost like this situation here, he's as an enemy. And if he sees him as an enemy, what's the only response he's going to be able to get? Yeah. Okay. So then I asked him, Ricky, who are you at your best? Who could you be if you were in total control? And he walked through this list of amazing things about who he was as a person. And I said, if that's true of you, Ricky, who is your employee at his best? And for a moment, a little window opened up and he could see that his employee was also a human being. And that we don't always work at our best. But if I can see him, or my other, in this case, his adversary, in a better light, we can reach this new place that this is an imaginary space I called reach. Because reach looks like this. I'm vulnerable enough to open my hand. The Latin root of vulnerable is vulnerus, meaning wound. And a wound is open. And so Ricky did this. He called his employee in and he apologized. He asked for forgiveness for the way he had been thinking and treating his employee. And that step, by opening up, allowed his employee to do something fascinating. It allowed him to say, you're right, you've been a real, and had some French in there. But it allowed him to vent it out. And Ricky, to his credit, didn't fight back. He knew what was going on inside his own body, and he said, you know what? I can certainly see how I've made you feel. And it gave him an opportunity to look and see his perspective. And it didn't happen overnight, but it opened that window for them to say, hey, let's work together and now be able to see different perspectives. So step one, who are you at your best? And step two, who is the person you're frustrated or angry with? Who are they at their best? It may take some imagination. You may know that they're narcissistic, and they've got lots of problems, and they probably beat their dog. But if you can change your mind for a minute and just imagine who they could be at their best, it opens up a window for influence. All right. So I want you to take your hand. There's 5 steps to this. We're going to go through it quickly. Get to the end. Step number 1 is open. It takes some vulnerability. When I begin a difficult conversation, I have to first release. This is a release. I'm open to this. And when I bring you into my office or to have a conversation with you, sometimes it's a difficult conversation. Has anybody heard of the feedback sandwich? Feedback sandwich is bread, meat, bread, something good, give them what you need to tell them, and then butter them up again. Okay? That is hard to chew. No one wants to swallow it. Okay? You're doing so good at this, but, and as soon as you say but, what happens? The first part goes away. It's better to say, we have a difficult conversation to have. You're not going to like this. And it preps them. I'm opening up this conversation. I'm going to let them see what I see. I'm going to ask some really interesting questions. Can you help me see what you see? Can you help me see what you see? And then involve them in that decision-making process. That's step 3. So step 1, open up. 2, clarify. 3, involve them in this process to make a better decision. Number 4, we're going to come to an agreement. And this is the heart of real accountability. The difference between agreement and expectation is fascinating. Anybody here have high expectations? You can raise your hand, it's okay. Yep. Lots of us have high expectations. And we get frustrated when people don't live up to those expectations. But often we don't ask people if they agree with our expectations. Can they accomplish what you are expecting of them? And so in this difficult conversation, when I come to step number 4, I'm going to ask for agreement. Are you willing to do this? And as soon as they say yes, what do we know? I can now hold you accountable in an authentic way. As opposed to just walking around going, I told everybody to do this, they didn't do it, I'm going to hold them accountable. Get agreement first, and then as we close, I can hand this thing off to somebody else. I can express confidence in them for going through this process with me. Okay. Last pieces. When you show up to your difficult conversations or your difficult situations, if we can release ourselves in 3 different ways, you can do this live in a meeting. You don't have to stand up to do it, but my favorite thing to do is if you're in a meeting, you're always up in your head. Try this with me. No one will see you do it. Just wiggle your toes. Wiggling your toes brings you back down to earth. And before my meetings begin, no one's watching me do this. I'm taking 3 deep breaths and releasing before the meeting begins. It allows me to show up in a different way. All right. What changes in you changes your culture. If you can bring yourself into centered balance, you can then influence other people to do theirs. As a leader, you carry the weather. I've got a friend that he's a helicopter test pilot. So he does cool things, like his Facebook page is him doing loop-de-loops with an Apache helicopter, much cooler than I could ever hope to be. But when he was in the military, he explained the following. Anytime that there was a mission to go about, he would leave and go to some general's tent that would give them the mission, and then he would walk across the tarmac, and his crew was waiting. Now, as human beings, sometimes we forget this, but we are skin-covered antennas. We notice stuff. If the mission was dangerous, no matter what he did to stay calm or walk as confidently as he could, his crew knew what? This is going to be tough. We pick up on these things. It's okay as a leader to feel scared, to have big emotions and be angry or frustrated. And we just got to tell people how we're experiencing this, because they already know. You can tell people, I'm feeling a little bit of freeze right now. I do this with my wife all the time. You know what? This conversation is making me uncomfortable. I want to get out of here. And she'll point it out to me because she's smarter than I am. She goes, you're in flight mode right now. And I go, you're probably right. And I get mad again. But I calm myself back down and come back into this conversation. So just think about this. Everybody knows your emotions. You're not hiding them very well, no matter how good you think you are. You might as well express them to other people. All right. The reason why I'm bringing up transformation at scale, we've been doing this amazing thing at Zachary. We've got mental health champions at every job site. We have 120 right now. We're trying to get as many as we can, so they're everywhere, and their specific purpose is for mental health and well-being. In April, we had this fun experience where our owner, David Zachary, was on an airplane, picked up Newsweek, and no one knew this, but in April, Zachary was awarded one of America's greatest places to work for mental health and well-being. We didn't apply for it, but it's something that we just do, because we've learned that if you can control yourself, not let anything else control you, you can make a real difference with other people. All right. What I'd like you to do right now is you have a piece of paper and a pencil. I want to leave with a commitment. Today we've looked at how to control our emotions, what to do and what to say, a framework for how to move from our most primitive instincts to our most extraordinary potential. If we master these, you'll lead with strength and clarity, even in chaos. So right now, what I want you to do on that piece of paper is write down this question. Who could I be if I showed up differently at work? If I forgave the person that I'm always angry at? If I tried a new approach? Who could I be if? Let that guide you. Up on the board, I put a QR code. This is a link to my LinkedIn. If you connect with me and just send me a quick message, it can basically be a letter if you want to, I'll send you a recap of today. I'm not trying to sell anything. I don't need that kind of stuff. I'm not going to join a program. But I've got some questions for reflection to help you apply these and integrate them into your life, if that's helpful. So that's the QR code there. All right. Last thing, I don't really have time for questions because it makes me nervous. And I'll be around. We're going to go to the party tonight. You can ask me there. I do not do demonstrations. You can probably all beat me up, but I'd still like to talk to you anyway. But this thought has been on my mind all the time. It comes from my mentor. The only real tragedy in life is to have something truly special inside you that the world will never see. The only real tragedy in life is to have something special inside you that the world will never see. The people that you work with, you have magic and majesty inside. It often gets covered by the myriad of things that are bombarding our attention and really affecting our emotions. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but it begins with a simple breath. Exhale. Sink open. Be vulnerable. Thank you.